has everybody figured out like who does their job the best in their industry that they like to follow?
I mean, Gary Vee.
Well, you don't have to answer the question. I just want to know if you guys have your icons. You got your icon? You have your icon?
I think it's really Oprah.
That's fine. Well,
Oh,
no. I'm talking about on the production side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you need to be on the.
I thought you meant on the interview side.
I know you're aspirationally, and that's important to have the aspiration too.
Yeah.
But in terms of actual job function right now, which I know MRX is a thing, but it's not the thing.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
But it's
cool.
different than what you told me last time.
So,
Okay.
sorry, I think I might have convoluted it a little bit. What's your job title again?
Production manager.
Right. And so, the context of production manager, the objective would be to find who does that job the best. That's what I thought I said, but obviously didn't say it clear enough. So so for you, it might be somebody like D-Rock. It's not Gary Vee. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
you see the difference?
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay, so that's the way I want you guys to frame who is the hero, who's the winner of that, like who's my aspirational perfect person. What you guys are doing today is going to be different than it is in 3 years from now, right? But we have to live to 3 years from now. You guys all get that? Okay, so if we are all Oprah right now, we won't make that leap. This doesn't exist. So the only way that we get there is by executing perfectly, every day. It's the grind, it's the hustle, it's the things that we hear all the time. And we just need to be consumers of, the application of what we consume. Like when I'm watching a video, PewDiePie, I literally am thinking to myself, okay, how can we apply some of these humorists in this case, his application of humor to having market research, because it seems like it could be a really good fit. See? So it's just like the filters, the lens that we use to view the world and our consumption of media needs to be applied in the same way. So that when we're coming up with ad concepts, right, we're not starting 5 years ago, which is to say with no data, we're starting at a head start because you already know what D-Rock is producing, and you see what I mean? So that's the place. That's where we find the shortcuts. So maybe it's not 3 years, maybe it's 12 months. If we execute exceptionally well at this point, it gets us there faster, right? It gets us there faster. But if we don't, then it decreases probability. Or prolongs, which decreases probability. Time's never your friend.
So it looks like Matt might be running a little bit late. He says that he's having traffic problems.
That's totally perfect.
Yeah.
So now let's do this. This is gonna have to change. Testing.
I feel like that's stable enough for that risky.
Okay. Catastrophe.
Okay. A catastrophe, catastrophic, cataclysmic, a disruption of the interview.
Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want that. Okay.
Yeah.
Are the levels good?
The levels
You
are
can hear
great.
my voice? Are we recording?
We are not recording.
Okay, you can hit record. Prior to starting Innovate MR, Matt has founded and harvested 3 other companies along with a venture fund. Matt, thanks for joining us today. Today what we're going to do is spend some time really honing in what that company persona is and how we are going to build that persona. We've got to come up with happy market research, and we've got to come up with a villain. Right? It needs to be so clear in our heads, in the way that we talk, in the social that we produce, in the interaction with customers, of what the true problem is that not the problem that we're trying to solve, but who it is that we're at battle with. So we are not the hero. Okay, that's clearly the insights professional that sits inside of the brands and the agencies.
Absolutely.
That is the hero. We are this trusted advisor.
Yes.
So we are Yoda. But so I want to break down this whole trusted advisor. This question is critical. How are you helping me win the day? So answer the question.
By providing insight into what brands are wanting from, market research companies.
Okay.
I think, and then empowering MR to move forward in that, and I think this goes back to that switching the attitude from one of insecurity and fear to one of optimism and opportunity.
So we know we're not the hero. We're the guide. So what's involved inside of a hero or a guide? Pardon me. Seen, heard, and understood. So it's all about empathy. When I'm having a conversation with my wife, like I try to do every morning, I sit down with her and bring her coffee in bed, literally. This is like the ritual. And I'll ask her a few questions, and then she'll start talking. And then I do the active listening thing. I mean, she knows the script. Like, this is not, when she watches the video, she would tell you the same thing, right? And then she feels validated, heard, and seen. Like, I prove that she's there, is literally what's happening, right? And by there, I mean in the context of the family. Like, she's in the middle of it. She's the center. It's really important, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk a little bit about the bad guy and what our hero wants from us. These are my humble proposals, and I mean that in all sincerity. I don't feel like I've landed on the answers here, so this is a discussion. I still think that it's something like research has been disrupted by technology and is having an identity crisis. The identity crisis piece is, so I think all of us would agree that technology is the quote unquote problem or the enabler of the transition.
I feel so strongly about this. I really don't think technology is the problem. Technology is the opportunity. It's the perspective on how technology, like they're framing technology as the reason why, and I want to help them reframe it so that technology becomes your partner moving forward to give you more opportunities in the future.
I don't disagree with what you just said, except that you said two different things. And that is, in order to do the reframing, you have to acknowledge the reality of their current frame. And the current frame is that, in my opinion, in the reality of the industry, is that the reason that the marketing research space hasn't been scaling relative to the volume of data is because the brands are moving to data scientists and they're, who know Python and R, that are outside of the marketing research space, and they're literally building a new industry of insights that is completely independent of where consumer research has been. So that
I just think it's very important that we don't allow it to be distilled down to technology as the bad guy. And while I agree, and it's important for us to recognize that the source of the disruption has been because of technological developments, I think it's very important that we don't merely say, oh, it's because of technology, because then it feels to me that the conclusion is, well, technology's coming and we can't do anything about it, so let's like lay over and let it roll over us, as opposed to, again, taking that optimistic view and saying, okay, well, since this is a reality, what can I do about it? Sorry, water. What can I do about it? You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you're saying. I just want to try to get clarity.
Us on the same page, right?
Well, yes, but what I mean is I want to not talk about two things. Right. So you're talking about a problem and a solution, and we just need to identify the problem.
Right. And I think that it's very important that in framing that problem, we don't, that it doesn't just get oversimplified to technology as the bad guy.
I'm totally open to framing the problem however we want to frame it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
just want to make sure we're talking about the problem.
Okay.
So technology is a component of the problem.
Technology is a component of the change.
Okay, what is the problem?
I think it's the same thing. I think it's an attitude problem. I think it's,
You're saying that technology is like the catalyst of the problem, and that people's fear of adopting the new technology is the actual problem.
yes, that is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't think any market research company would agree with you. I don't think that any of them have a fear of technology. I think they would embrace technology.
Except that they're rejecting Twitter.
So let me clarify. I mean technology categorically, which is how I thought you were talking about it. Where I think what they're rejecting is how brands are applying the technology.
Yes,
Are-
that is true. I
Are
agree with that.
brands applying the technology effectively, or are the market researchers right in thinking like, no, you guys are doing it wrong?
It's like Fox and CNBC, right?
Two different approaches.
There's truth in both camps.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so who's the villain? Or I don't mean that like in a word. I mean we're gonna have to
Philosophically.
talk. It's gonna be a bunch of descriptives, right? Like things. So technology is a role in this.
Yes.
Okay, it just is. Villain. What else? How would you say what you said?
I really need to think about it more to put it succinctly.
Of course, that's why we're going through this exercise right now. You don't have to be succinct. You can be long-winded. An attitude, I think, is
Yeah,
one of the words you've talked about.
yeah, it is an attitude of,
Entitlement?
yeah, maybe being entitled to be the sage on the
voice.
hill, and now people are going elsewhere for their answers, and they're sort of like, but you used to ask me.